Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time to spend with us. I'm joined this week by Kira Paterson, news reporter with the Banner Press. Kira, good to have you in this week.
Yep, good to be here.
You got plenty to talk about actually this week. A fair amount of local stories that you covered.
I did some work this week, as you can see. I mean, I was slacking off for a couple weeks there, but I'm back at it again.
Yep, same with me. I got a few bylines in here as well. I put in the effort, I put in the time.
Yep.
But neither one of us were able to get the front page this week.
No.
That honor goes to Casper Werhan and Casper's story about something I'm very glad we were able to put a little bit of a spotlight on. It's known as Lucy's Bell. It was a fundraising walk that occurred over the weekend right here in Neepawa. And it was all geared towards raising awareness and also raising funding for the battle and the efforts against cerebral palsy. Now, this was put together by a mother, and she came in on Thursday actually and talked to us about what was happening with that. Melissa Payette came in, and I talked to her for about 10-15 minutes about what was going to be happening over the weekend and what they were trying to do with that. So it was great to be able to sort of learn about this. Her young sons, Cody and Blake, both deal with that, and it's the family has really sort of done everything they can to raise the awareness on the situation and on the issue on a national and international level, which is quite commendable. And their latest effort to do that was this walk, Kira.
Yeah, I think all across Manitoba they were doing a cerebral palsy Manitoba walk, or possibly all Westman. And she actually made up a team, and so they walked right through Neepawa and kind of rang their bells and spread the word, but also raised some money. And it was really cool because their goal was to raise $1,000, and they actually ended up nearly doubling that. They raised approximately $2,000. So that was really exciting, because I know when she came in on Thursday, they were saying that they were getting close to their goal. They had 700 of their $1,000 goal, and we thought, okay, that'd be awesome if they can break that goal by Saturday and even maybe raise it. And they did, and they ended up doubling it. So that was really cool to see that there was support there.
It was nice as well, and for those of you that might be unfamiliar, it was named Lucy's Bells, and it was named after Melissa's mother, who has passed on, but it was still that wonderful little bit of sort of nice little sort of bit of respect there to be able to name it after her and be able to keep that memory ongoing as well, and for such a nice, important cause. It came together so nicely from the bits and pieces Casper described to us, who was out there, socially distanced, of course, because the restrictions were in place. That's important to know. This was planned before the new regulations and restrictions came in, but they still went forward with it, but they followed all those regulations. They were distanced out. You'll see the picture on the front page. They're not distanced out, but they are out in the open.
And they're outside, yeah.
Yeah. And there is perspective things here. So, but in terms of the walk through the community, they were distanced out from each other. They were following all the proper rules and regulations, as we all should be. And it still came off not only a success, but above and beyond what the expectations were, which was great to see.
Yeah.
So if you want to find that, you can find it on page 1 and page 2 of this week's edition of the Banner Press. All right, we're going to go over to travel and entertainment. And this week we actually do have travel and do have entertainment. Last week we had that boring budget story on there because that was the only space we had. But this week, Kira, you came up big and you got us a story on something that's a lot more fun.
So much more fun than council, yeah. Minnedosa, the Minnedosa Beach Enhancement Committee, they have been working nonstop to enhance the beach at Minnedosa, like the name suggests.
Who'd have thunk it?
I know, right? Their most recent, well, before this, their most recent improvement and most noticeable improvement was the brand new playground that they have there. It looks great. I've seen some pictures. I think I have seen it in person as well, and it looks really nice. Looks like lots of fun. Wish I were a kid to play on it. But now they haven't stopped with that because they actually have installed a zip line, a 100-foot zip line. That I really think I'm going to try because that sounds like a lot of fun. So they had it kind of built into their budget when they were fundraising for the playground and for just the general enhancement of the beach. They kind of had that. So they hadn't really been fundraising specifically for that. We hadn't really heard about it until it actually was installed. So, but I was really excited about that and really glad that I could talk to one of the committee members, Lisa Buchanan, I believe. Yeah, Lisa Buchanan. She was very helpful in getting me the answers that I was looking for about it and all of the information. So you can definitely find that on page 3 because it is up and it's ready to use. They have a little bit of finishing touches, but nothing like they have the cables and stuff. So you're not going to like slide off into the abyss or something like that. They have all of the important stuff. It's just a couple of the finishing touches. So you can actually be using it right now. And they were saying that they've seen a lot of people enjoying it already, which is really cool.
Yeah, as long as you use it in a safe manner.
Yeah.
Not like me when I was a kid where it's just like you're blindfolded, you're using one hand,
One-handed,
you're just flying into walls.
going upside down, you know.
Yeah. It turns out I'm not Spider-Man.
No.
Despite my best efforts as a youth. But it does sound like it's a lot of fun. And that, along with the Splish Splash Park that's out there.
I think that actually that committee helped in getting or promoting Minnedosa to potentially get the Splish Splash Park there. I think that was part of their efforts as well. Don't quote me on that, but I think that I read that somewhere. So they've done a lot of work, that the enhancement committee. They've done a lot to enhance the beach.
And Minnedosa Lake is such it's a diamond. It's that a lot of people maybe in the region don't even realize is out there. A lot of people go to Clear Lake and go up there over the weekend. But if you're from Brandon, if you're from other sort of areas in and around Rapid City, there's something amazing out there. All right, even though I'm a part of Neepawa Tourism, I seem to be doing a lot of hyping up from Minnedosa's tourism efforts. I'm going to stop that right now because there's a lot of great things in Neepawa as well. So, but no, commendable to them for them to get that going and get that moving forward. All right, as well, let's go over to a new item that's here in Neepawa. It's not quite as fun, you know, you can't slide down it, but it is very important and very beneficial in terms of a wellness standpoint. It's on our it's our teaser for this week on the front page. It's the installation of a new UV phototherapy booth at the medical clinic. For those that have no idea what that is, much like me when I started researching this story, it's a very interesting piece of machinery. It's based on sort of using ultraviolet lights on individuals that are dealing with skin conditions. Certain types of skin conditions can be minimized through the use of it 2 or 3 times a week, just a minute or 2 at a time. Now, when you look at it, if you look it up online, you might think it looks like a really fancy tanning booth. That's not the case. That's not the truth. These are ultraviolet therapy treatments that can go a long way to assisting people with people who have eczema, for example, is the first one that pops into my head. So it helps to minimize those issues. And it really was the efforts of the doctors at the Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic. They did the research, they did the examination of the benefits, long-term benefits having a piece of machinery like this would have for Neepawa. And they felt it was in their best interests to sort of go ahead and purchase it. So it was purchased out of a company based out of Ontario. The plan was that the individuals would come in from Ontario, set it up, take care of all of it, have it installed, ready to go. Unfortunately, COVID-19, that situation sort of hindered that. it's a 3-hour job, a 2-3 hour job to put together. So they would have to stay for 2 weeks in isolation to be able to do a 2 or 3 hour job. That's not good for them. You know, they got other work they got to do as well. So what they were able to do, this business, Meditech Plus, based out of Ontario, the individual who is in charge of that, Lorenzo Fassa, I believe the president for Meditech, walked a pair of individuals through, Arnie Susky and Murray Parrott, through a Zoom video conference, and was able to walk them through the entire process, from unboxing it out of the cardboard to setting it up. Hell, even I got dragged in for a minute or two to help sort of lift it up out of the box there. You know,
Bet you they were glad they sent you for a picture instead of me.
Yeah, the story would be changed. Reporter crushed
Small
by
girl
Booth.
crushed by Booth.
But it's all set up. Murray and Arnie took care of most of that physical labor while I helped out just a smidge. Mostly I was just taking pictures and doing interviews. And it was really interesting to see how it was done. It took maybe an hour longer than it would under normal circumstances, but they were still able to get it done and get it looked after. It looks amazing, and it's going to be very helpful for people. Technology like this is available in Brandon right now. It's available in Dauphin. But who wants to travel that distance, especially under the current circumstances, for a 2-3 minute treatment? So it's great that we've got something like that so close to home. Just before I throw it over to you, Kira, there, just one other thing I want to emphasize. Like something like this, you just don't call up the clinic. Don't call up the clinic and say, hey, I want an appointment on this. That's not how this works. You have to get a referral from your physician on this. So don't be calling up the clinic and just sort of looking to get 15 minutes in the booth. All right, this ain't Ketchitan, all right? This is something completely different. So if you need something like this, you can go through a referral through your doctor on that. And I think it is going to be relatively popular. Very, you know, they also talk about it has certain emotional things. I mean, for depression and all that, UV light has been shown to sort of help people in that way.
Like seasonal affective disorder, I think is probably
Yes.
what it's in reference to, because there are people that they get depressed especially in the winter because of the lack of sunlight. And if they have like a UV light, then that really helps with their mood and it helps them feel better. So this, obviously, ultraviolet therapy would be a similar type of treatment, I would assume. That's just out of my head. I don't know that. I'm not an expert or anything, but
but again, mainly for the eczema and psoriasis, I believe as well. I might be thinking of a different sort of disease on that, but those two are big in terms of what this machine is able to do and what.
And I don't think that they're uncommon conditions as well. Like I think there's a lot of people that will be able to benefit from this type of a therapy, especially if it's a really like extreme eczema. You say eczema, I say eczema.
Yep.
Potato. But yeah, like if it's extreme and it's always itchy, it's always flared up, that kind of thing, this could potentially really help that and just make people's days that much better, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Let's take a turn. Let's take a travel down the highway over to Carberry right now. An event that is always so well received. It was canceled last year, and unfortunately, Kira, from the sounds of it, it is canceled again this year.
Yes, the Carberry Agricultural Fair and Races. Always a fun time. I've been there once or twice to cover it, and it's been canceled again this year. Usually happens, I believe, the first weekend of July. It's the middle of May, so that's not very far away right now. So normally they would be organizing this stuff now, even like a few months ago type of thing, to get it all together for July. But because there's no way to know how COVID restrictions will be affecting gatherings and events and stuff like that come the summer, it just only made sense to cancel it again for this year. There have been a lot of other cancellations, like Rock in the Fields, Country Fest, other stuff in Winnipeg that I don't pay attention to because it's too far away.
And if you are curious, even though I don't think it was ever made public, the Chamber Fair, which usually happens right now, that's been canceled.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things that have been canceled, and Carberry's fair is just added to the list, and they made it public on their Facebook page, which is where I found it. And I emailed the Egg Society who runs the fair, and they gave me a few quotes and told me it is really disappointing that they have to cancel. They didn't want to cancel, but that's just the reality that they're in right now. And they're hoping maybe they'll be able to do some smaller things throughout the summer when restrictions lift a little bit, and when it's a little more obvious that we're maybe getting towards the end of lockdown and that kind of a thing. Because I know last year they had a petting zoo, I think, at one point in the summer, and they did some draws and contests and things like that. And they still supported like the 4-H club, which normally does their stuff there, and they still supported some of the other stuff that is involved with the egg fair that couldn't be all brought in together in one event, because it was a little more feasible for it to be smaller. So they're hoping they can maybe do something like that again this year, but it all depends, right?
It's all going to depend on us over the next couple of weeks right now. We're stuck in these restrictions again. None of us want to be, but we're going to power through it. And hopefully we'll be able to have some version of summer. But that is entirely up to what you and what Kira, especially Kira, it's on you.
Sorry, guys. It's all my fault.
But it's good to see that they still have that motivation. After a couple years of being canceled like that, there's the fear that maybe people they start dropping out. They get used to the new normal of not having it, and it's harder to get back in. Hopefully that's not the case.
Hopefully it'll just make people even more eager to go next year.
Yeah. Another thing that is related to Carberry, but is also related to Neepawa, is a little event called baseball. And the Santa Clara Baseball League specifically, they got a plan in place. They want to play. They desperately want to play some ball games this year, but they're in a sort of wait-and-see mode right now. And technically, actually, up until the restrictions, and they may still have the ability to, they can play right now if they want to. They just couldn't do it with fans. But they'd like to be able to have fans in the stands to see these games. Because a couple reasons. Santa Clara Baseball League is just a bunch of guys going out there playing the games, representing their community and having some fun. It's competitive. It's very competitive. It's a very it's a skill level, nice solid skill level of play. But it's still, they're not the pros. So there's no TV deal that's going to pay for all the rental of field, all the equipment, all the upkeep of the grass and the dirt and all that. They're still taking care of all that out of pocket. The fans help with that. They'll do some fundraising. Some will charge a small nominal fee for tickets. Like here in Neepawa, it's a couple bucks. Like I honestly could walk up to the game and just watch for free. You just got to sort of sidle in there. Like the second, third inning, you're able to get in, watch the rest of the game. But I don't do that. I still go up there, even though it's out of my way to go over there. I pay the money because I know they need that type of support, and a lot of other people do as well, and it's appreciated. That's the big impact of fans. And plus as well, it's just that energy you get from a crowd. Whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a theatrical event, whether it's a musical event, anything like that, the performers feed off of that energy that comes from the grandstands, that comes from the stands and the crowd. And it helps to energize them. And it's the same in baseball. It's the same in sports. So they're very much hoping that they will still be able to do a 15-game season. But again, as we said with the agricultural fair, Kira, it comes down to us. We'll see how the next couple weeks play out, won't we?
Yeah, it all depends on how well behaved we are, I guess you could say.
Yeah. We want to enjoy summer, so let's just
hunker down a little bit longer.
Yeah. So hopefully in a couple weeks' time, I'll be able to talk to you about the season starting and about some fans in the stands. That'd be fun. All right. Now, something that happens every few years, every 4 years, although this time it was a 5th year.
Yes.
The Canadian census. Everybody hopefully got something through the mail. and were able to fill it out before the deadline. Kira, you talked to Settlement Services, though, because they did an amazing job 5 years ago about making sure everybody was on the same page. They would try to do the same thing again this time, didn't they?
Yeah. So this was kind of less of a story than I thought it was going to be, but it was still a good story to get out there and to remind people that Neepawa Area Immigrant Settlement Services is there and is ready to help newcomers to the community whenever they need it. But yeah, basically 5 years ago, they did this informational session for their newcomers about how to do the census, why it's important to do the census, who should be doing it, yada, yada, yada. And it was a great turnout. It went really well. And Don Walmsley, the coordinator, I believe is what his title is, he when I was talking to him this time, he said that a lot of the people, the newcomers that are here, were here in the last census, maybe not necessarily in Neepawa, but in Canada, and they have been through the census before, and they kind of know the deal, and they kind of know what's going on and how to do it and that kind of thing. So they didn't necessarily need to do a big informational session. Also, they couldn't really do a big informational session in person because of COVID restrictions. He said they kind of talked about maybe doing an online one, but then all of a sudden they got their census letters and it said dated for May 3rd, due May 11th. And they were like, well, we don't have time to figure this out now, because they were expecting maybe the deadline to be the 21st, towards the end of May, something like that.
Expecting time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they had planned to do an informational session via Zoom or online somehow. I think it was this Thursday, which is 2 days after the deadline, which they didn't know about until like a week ago. So things were a little bit rushed. They did offer one-on-one appointments for people who did need a little bit extra assistance. I think Don said that they got one, maybe two people who needed help. But he said that that was a really good sign that people are really comfortable with it. And they, from what they had heard from their clients, they were getting the censuses done. They were eager to do them and to help out the community in getting an accurate picture of what our demographic is like. So that was really good to hear. But yeah, it brought up this other issue, and this is going to be another story for the future.
That's right.
How did the census go? Like, did people get it in time? Did people get it done in time? Because it was really rushed, it seemed like.
That's right, Kira. We have a little item it's on page 5. We're asking for anybody to get in touch with us, your thoughts on how the census played out this time. Because we've heard a lot of anecdotal sort of things about, God, really seems rushed this time. This really seems like a cluster, how it was structured and how it was set up. And I gotta say, even my own personal, I didn't receive it until like Friday. And then on Monday, it's like, oh, you gotta fill this in, you gotta get this in by this day. And it's like, oh my God, okay, calm down. Fortunately, the final day, I got it all looked after for the household. It's all taken care of. All the pertinent information is in there. But it did feel like, for me, that it was just a complete and utter...
Yeah. Well, even my household, it was due on the 11th. We got it delivered on the 10th. And they said, this needs to be done like today. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we'll do that.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's a farmer, so he got his census survey thing in the mail maybe a week before. And so he had a little more time for that, which was nice. But the household one was just all of a sudden, like the day before it was due, they were driving out to rural houses and giving people their census. And it was kind of difficult because, for example, my grandparents, they don't have a computer, they don't have the internet. So, and the census forms that they're giving out are just an online code to do it online. And so you need to request a paper one. But if they're only giving it to you the day before it's due, you're not going to get the paper one in time, right? So it seemed a little bit off this year. And yeah, if you guys have any feedback, we do have a post up on Facebook. So if you use Facebook, go there. It's easier for us to keep track of than a bajillion different emails. We'll also have one on Twitter. So if you have Twitter and not Facebook, then you can go there. But if you don't have either, you can email us, you can call us. Let us know what your census experience was this year, because we've heard a lot of stories about it being kind of weird. So we do want to get an article in about that, about how it went in the community.
And I'm really interested to see how this plays out, even before all this occurred, because the census is very important for a community like Neepawa. It dictates how maybe federal funding and federal grants and assistance might be distributed to communities over the next few years. It's dependent heavily on the population. And if we don't have a proper population perspective, like our last one was 4609, most people seem to be in the agreement of it makes most sense. We probably have a few more than that at the time. And a lot of people I talk to right now say that maybe Neepawa is 55 to 6,000 people. I don't know. I have not gone out and gone 1, 2, 3. I just, maybe I should have.
Show of hands, who lives in Neepawa?
Yeah. But I'm very interested to find out what the population of Neepawa is at this point in time and how we've grown and developed over the last 5 years. But, with the way the census played out, maybe we're not going to get a proper and a real evaluation of it. Maybe we'll see the number. It's like 3,100. Wait a minute. That doesn't seem right.
That can't be right. Yeah, no.
8 people? Nope. But again, we got to wait until probably about January or February of next year before those bits of information are released. So, but we're going to finalize this week's edition. Just one quick shout out. Former Neepawa resident Cynthia Chartrand, who was given a Regional Caregivers Award recently by Brocky Donovan. Semi-annually, it's given out to individuals from Brandon and surrounding areas for their support for the caregiving industry. So we've got a story on that. It is on page 13. Cynthia, I believe, is now sort of moved on from Neepawa, is based in Brandon with her family, but still, we always, even former Neepawa residents, we always love to do those stories of local person does good. So I got an opportunity to speak with her on that and learn some of the details. It's really a nice, uplifting story.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it justice right now to sort of explain it to you. That's why you got to pick up a copy of the paper. Either check it out on mywestman.ca or a hard copy. And I'm very happy to be able to have shared that, Kira.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I know that it wasn't that long ago that she and her family were living here, so a lot of people will still know who Cynthia Chartrand was, and so it's really cool. Like, I know the name, I don't know if I've ever met her, but I know the name, and it's really cool when it's like, oh, I knew that person, right?
Back when figure skating was still a thing and sports was still a thing, she was huge into the Neepawa Figure Skating Club, a major proponent of it, and a teacher as well. So that's where you may know her name from, but here's another place where you'll know it from. So congratulations, and it's great to share that. It's great to share all of this information with you on a weekly basis. We do appreciate it. And if you have story ideas or suggestions, we love to hear from you. You can contact us at news@neepawabanner.com. Or you can call us via phone, 204-476-3401. Anything, any suggestions, any thoughts on stories we should be covering or have covered. Even if you disagree, we love to hear it. Well, we don't love to hear it from that, but we will listen. I mean, we want to hear different perspectives. Ads as well, you can get in touch with us at creative@neepawabanner.com and ads@neepawabanner.com, because that keeps the doors open. That keeps us going each and every week, be able to sit here and share this information with you. So that's about it for this week. Kira, great to have you in here, and great to see all that stuff you were able to get out there and get covered.
Back at you.
All right. And again, Casper, got the glory, got the front page, so we're going to have to try harder for next week.
I guess so. We'll have to do something better.
You bet. And thank you, as always, for tuning in and taking a little bit of your time to learn about the stories behind the stories.